don't think that there's anyone on the New York scene since him or after him that compares to him. There is no one like him as a person or as a craftsman.
Hi, I'm Jeff Greenfield, one-time colleague and longtime friend of David Garth, here on the lawn of Gracie Mansion, home to New York's mayors, many of whom Dave Garth helped put here. Dave got to start producing high school football on New York television, and while he loved producing, there was something he loved more: politics. And the man who brought him into the arena, however unwittingly, was Adlai Stevenson in 1960. Adlai Stevenson, of course, was not nominated in 1960, but that effort kindled in David Garth a passion to enter the political arena. What he needed was a campaign and a candidate. Fast forward to 1965 and Manhattan Congressman John V. Lindsay.
Television was really new in 1965, and the Lindsay campaigns were the first really telegenic campaigns in New York City, and that helped Mayor Lindsay break through, and David Garth played a key role in allowing Mayor Lindsay to project his best qualities to the people of New York.
I had never seen it before. People didn't think much of television advertising as a phenomenon, certainly not in New York, until David came along and ran the Lindsay campaign.
But it was the 1969 Lindsay re-election campaign where Dave Garth really began to develop what became a signature move, taking a politician's liability, meeting it head-on, and turning it into an asset. John Lindsay had made many mistakes in his first term and had become politically toxic, so much so that he lost the Republican race for renomination. He was forced to run on the Liberal Party line. Dave Garth was one of Lindsay's inner circle that developed the key strategic move of the '69 campaign, what we came to call in our more polite moments the Lindsay Eats Crow effort.
I guessed wrong on the weather before the city's biggest snowfall last winter, and that was a mistake. But I put 6,000 more cops on the streets, and that was no mistake. The school strike went on too long, and we all made some mistakes. But I brought 225,000 new jobs to this town, and that was no mistake.
The fact that John Lindsay sat before the camera on the back porch at Gracie Mansion and ate crow, that was the most important thing, and David realized that.
With Lindsay's re-election in 1969, Dave Garth's political consulting work really took off. He even was able to hire as a part-time assistant a young speechwriter who knew nothing about television production, me. Dave was involved in the campaigns of Richard Ottinger in New York, Adlai Stevenson III in Illinois, John Gilligan in Ohio, John Tunney out in California. In fact, David became so well known that Robert Redford offered him the chance to play himself in the movie The Candidate. Dave turned down that offer because he hated the script. There is no truth to the rumor that Dave insisted his part be played by Paul Newman.
Bottom line is this: I like what you stand for. You got balls, otherwise I wouldn't take you on. All right, so we take my crew, we get you doing your thing, and that's it. Thanks, honey. Huh? You just get it on with the people. Let me worry about the cameras.
We'll see.
I'll tell you one thing.
Tell me one thing.
You might just make it, my friend. People are going to take a look at our stuff and see a guy who's got guts. They're going to take a look at the crock and think maybe you can't get it up anymore.
That's what it's all about, huh?
In 1973, Garth went to work in the Los Angeles mayoral campaign of Councilman Tom Bradley. Bradley had lost his first run for mayor in 1969 in large measure because his campaign tried to evade the race issue. Garth, he took it head on.
When I was running track here at UCLA, I couldn't have dreamed that someday I'd be running for mayor. But it was possible because of the kind of city that Los Angeles is. It's a city that respects a man who makes it on his own, who works hard, who doesn't ask for favors. After 21 years on the Los Angeles Police Force and 10 years on the City Council, I think the people of this city know where my heart is. I love this city. I want to keep fighting to make it better. That's why I'm running.
Bradley won, and David continued his remarkable winning streak. In 1974, supervising the upset victory of Hugh Carey as governor of New York, helping Ella Grasso become the first female governor of Connecticut, helping John Hines get elected to the United States Senate in 1976. But in 1977 in New York, the political story of the year was the campaign of a relatively unknown congressman from John Lindsay's old Silk Stocking district in Manhattan, Ed Koch.
I would not have become mayor of the city of New York if David Garth hadn't become my general manager, guru, however you want to refer to him, media consultant.
Koch was almost a nobody. He was a Manhattan congressman. The chances of his becoming mayor were pretty slim, but the fact that David Garth had decided to work for him was suddenly an imprimatur. It suddenly elevated him. If David Garth was working for Koch, there must be something there.
And he said to me, what he said to me, he says to every candidate, because I've talked to other candidates, you got to lose 10 pounds or 20 pounds. That's the first thing he says. So I said, I'll do it. And I did. He said, you have to stop wearing your three-button suits. I've worn a three-button suit ever since I came back from the Army. I said, if that's all it takes, I'll do that too. And he says, you have to stop being funny. Well, I said to him, David, I believe there has to be some humor, because that's me. And he said, all right, we'll make one commercial. And I think the commercial went something like this. A-Beam says he knows the buck.
And 2 years later, we didn't have any bucks. Then he told us he made the tough decisions. He must have forgotten Felix Rohatyn, Steve Berger, Governor Carey, and Big Mac. Now Mayor Beam is asking for 4 more years to finish the job. Finish the job? Hasn't he done enough?
They wanted someone who could run the city after 4 years of near bankruptcy under A-Beam. And Ed Koch was presented in that way, a guy who was not ideological particularly, but David managed to project him as a guy who could surround himself with competent people and actually manage the city, and that's what people wanted. This was a major political feat, and if anyone had any doubts about David Garth's ability, that sealed him as a real kingmaker in this city and around the country.